March 14th, 2019. Happy Pi Day, 3.14159. So it's a big day. I'm joined here by my little dog, Scarlet. She's got a lot of energy, lots of smells around here. So we'll hope she can settle down. It's a beautiful day. It's about 60 degrees, a little bit of rain, but that's all right. It's finally okay to be outside again. I'm going to sit for 1 sec, kind of collect my thoughts real quick, and then start talking. So yesterday was a pretty big day for me. It was one of the most intense days of thought I've had in a long time. One of the things that is part of my constitutional being is contemplating existence and theories of the universe. And I watched this talk by George Hotz. He is the first person to ever unlock an iPhone and has a self-driving car company called comma.ai. It's called comma, I guess. But he had this pretty interesting talk about simulation theory, and last year about this time I had a pretty crazy, maybe not crazy, pretty intense day of thought just like this one. And it raised a lot of questions for me about, I'd say basically quantum mechanics and how events unfold the way they do and why they happen. And this talk kind of brought back some of those questions, and then after thinking, I was doubled over, crouched, hunched, just in closing my eyes, thinking for about an hour about these kinds of things. Very intense. I loved it. Very fun. But one of the things that kind of came out of that was the idea of synchronicity. It's I've definitely been thinking about it for a long period of time, but this is just one of the moments that kind of put everything together. Yesterday, my sister sent me a podcast that was about music, and I actually have sampled the guy's music before. And then after that part, there was a part about set theory, and I had just found a set theory or a discrete mathematics book in my bedroom while I was cleaning out my bedroom. And part of that involves set theory, and that's like the basic fundamentals of math, like why math is the way it is. And then during the podcast, there was a mention of the Native Americans talking about the concept of zero and how zero is just a blank space surrounded. So the identification of a blank space, and that kind of clued me into the conversation, paying very close attention. And then the next thing was about set theory, and I think they're called indeterminables. Just in set theory, that once you kind of get down to the basics of truth and perfect truth in a mathematical equation, sometimes things just break down and they don't necessarily work. There's a lot of paradoxes involved. But those were all these little things, these synchronistic moments that kind of led up into this thought, to this hour of thought. And like there's other components that go into that, and it's just paying attention. One of the things that humans have right now that we've never had before is just a total overhaul on information. So much information every single day. We wake up, we look at Twitter, we look at Instagram, we look at Facebook, we're watching the news, all these incredible things, all these great sources of communication, and there's just so much information. We have this overload, and our brains are having to keep up. They have to be able to keep up with what our bodies are doing, and we're capable of it. So now we have all this attention and awareness that's rapid firing at all times. We need to be constantly fulfilled, so we're constantly seeking more and more things to look at. And there's been this rise of people who are focused on 1111 or 1234 or seeing their favorite number everywhere they go. And part of that to me is just having this expanded attention ability. You can look at so many different things and be able to take in the information just as you're driving or as you're walking, Whereas maybe before you were kind of just more focused on the task at hand. You weren't so concerned about, you know, these little tiny things that you pass. And I mean, we wouldn't have, back in the 50s or however long ago, we didn't necessarily have digital displays every single where you look, every single place you look. And chill, little dog. Come here. And so one of the things that is talked about in psychology is this thing called confirmation bias, and that's finding the answers that you are looking for. In science, it's a bad thing to do that. When you're performing an experiment, you don't really want to try to confirm your hypothesis. You always want to try to disprove it, and through the inability to disprove your theory, that is typically what illuminates the truth of it. And what I've found is that a lot of people, now that they've recognized that they have this attention span to find all these different bits of information that are floating around, whether it's numbers or words or anything really, they're looking for it. And when you're constantly looking for something, you're always going to find it. It could be anywhere. There could be a serial code, and if it's 600 numbers long, or let's say if it's 40 numbers long, and your favorite number is 11, and then, you know, halfway through that you see an 11, you're going to say, oh, how synchronistic is that there's a number 11 here? I mean, yes, it is there. Maybe it's there at the right time, or maybe you're just paying attention and you're really looking for that kind of thing. So it's a tricky topic, but like I said, those all those thoughts and things that came to me, the Native American Zero one in particular, I just checked out a book on Native American poetry at the library. So like I said, I was very clued in on that. So I can't necessarily say if that was placed there or why it happened, but it is funny. It is weird how those things work sometimes. But I'm gonna say the rain's picking up right now, so I think it's time to get going. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow. I have some crazy things to talk about. Not crazy, just beautiful. Adios.